James had always considered himself a loving and attentive husband. He and Rachel had been married for nearly 20 years, and while their relationship had its ups and downs, he never doubted her loyalty. That was until he found the text messages. It was a regular Thursday evening when James stumbled upon Rachel's phone on the kitchen counter. She had left it unlocked, and a series of messages from a contact named Matt caught his eye. Curiosity got the better of him, and he started reading. The texts were explicit, filled with intimate details that left James feeling sick to his stomach. Matt and Rachel had been meeting for months, engaging in a passionate affair that Rachel had meticulously hidden. James's mind raced, trying to make sense of the betrayal. He remembered their recent arguments, Rachel's distant behavior, and the nights she claimed to be working late. All the pieces fell into place, and the realization hit him like a punch to the gut. Unable to confront Rachel immediately, James retreated to their bedroom, his mind swirling with anger, hurt, and confusion. He couldn't believe that the woman he loved, the mother of his children, had been unfaithful. As he lay in bed that night, his thoughts kept returning to one question: why? What had driven Rachel to seek intimacy outside their marriage? In the days that followed, James found himself in a whirlwind of emotions. His initial shock and anger began to give way to a profound sadness and a deep-seated feeling of inadequacy. He replayed every moment of their recent intimacy, trying to pinpoint where things had gone wrong. He recalled how Rachel had become more adventurous in bed, initiating encounters and exploring new desires. It had been thrilling, and James had found himself excited by her newfound enthusiasm. James sat in his car the morning after the discovery, staring blankly out the windshield as raindrops pattered against the glass. His mind was a storm of emotions. The betrayal was a sharp pain in his chest, yet he couldn't ignore a confusing sense of arousal when he thought about the explicit messages between Rachel and Matt. What had Rachel found in Matt that she hadn't found in him? Or had she found something in herself? The next few nights were a blur. James couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. He went through the motions at work, barely able to focus on anything. His co-workers noticed his distraction, but he brushed off their concerns with weak smiles and mumbled excuses about not feeling well. Inside, he was dying to confront Rachel, to demand answers, but he was terrified of what those answers might be. One evening, he came home to find Rachel in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared dinner. She turned and smiled at him, a genuine, warm smile that made his heart ache. How could she look so happy, so innocent, after what she had done? He sat at the kitchen table, watching her move around the room, trying to reconcile this image with the woman in those text messages. "How was your day?" Rachel asked, her voice cheerful and oblivious to the turmoil inside him. James swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "It was fine," he lied, his voice sounding hollow even to his own ears. That night, after dinner, Rachel initiated sex. It was as if she could sense his turmoil and wanted to soothe him, but James felt a mix of anger and arousal. As she kissed him, he couldn't help but wonder if she had kissed Matt the same way, if she had touched him with the same tenderness. Despite his anger, his body responded to her advances. Rachel was more passionate, more adventurous than ever, and it confused him even more. James found himself torn between the pleasure of their newfound intimacy and the pain of her betrayal. He tried to push the thoughts of Matt out of his mind, focusing on the way Rachel moved, the sounds she made, the way her body felt against his. But every touch, every kiss, was tainted with the knowledge of her infidelity. Still, there was a part of him that couldn't deny the thrill of it all. One weekend, unable to bear the weight of his thoughts any longer, James decided to visit his old friend, David. David had always been a good listener, and James needed someone to talk to, someone who could offer perspective. They sat on David's porch, beers in hand, as James recounted the discovery. David listened silently, his face a mask of concern. When James finished, David sighed deeply. "Man, that's rough. But, you know, sometimes people do crazy things when they're feeling unfulfilled. Maybe Rachel was looking for something she felt she was missing." James frowned, staring into his beer. "But why not talk to me about it? Why cheat?" David shrugged. "Fear? Maybe. Fear of hurting you. Fear of facing her own feelings. I'm not saying it's right, but it happens. The question is, What do you want to do about it? James had been asking himself the same question over and over. He didn't have an answer. Part of him wanted to confront Rachel, to demand she end the affair immediately. Another part of him was intrigued by the changes in their intimacy, the excitement it brought. Could he find a way to accept it? Maybe even embrace it? That night, back at home, James lay in bed next to Rachel, staring at the ceiling. She was asleep, her breathing soft and steady. He turned on his side, watching her. She looked so peaceful, so innocent. He felt a pang of guilt for even considering the possibility of embracing her affair. But there was also a flicker of hope. Maybe this could be a turning point for them, way to reignite their marriage. Over the next few weeks, James noticed more changes in Rachel. She was more attentive, more affectionate. Their sex life had never been better. It was as if the affair had unlocked something in her, something wild and passionate that had been dormant for years. James found himself torn between anger and arousal, pain and pleasure. He still hadn't confronted Rachel, but the tension between them was palpable. One evening, after a particularly passionate encounter, James lay in bed, his body still tingling from their lovemaking. Rachel nestled against him, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on his chest. He took a deep breath, summoning the courage to finally speak. "Rachel," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "There's something we need to talk about." Rachel tensed, her fingers stilling. "What is it, James?" He swallowed hard, his heart pounding in his chest. "I know about Matt." The silence that followed was deafening. Rachel pulled away, sitting up and staring at him with wide eyes. "James, he held up a hand, stopping her. "I don't need an explanation. I just need to know. Why? Why him? Why now?" Rachel's eyes filled with tears, and she looked away, unable to meet his gaze. "I don't know," she whispered. "I was feeling lost, I guess. Unfulfilled. Matt made me feel alive again." James felt a surge of anger, but he forced himself to stay calm. "And what about us? What about our marriage?" Rachel's shoulders slumped, and she wiped at her eyes. "I never meant to hurt you, James. I didn't know how to fix what was broken between us." James took a deep breath, reaching out to take her hand. "Rachel, I love you, and I want to make this work, but we can't keep going like this. We need to be honest with each other, even if it's painful." Rachel looked at him, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and fear. "Do you really think we can fix this?" James squeezed her hand, his resolve strengthening. "I don't know, but I'm willing to try if you are." In that moment, James realized that despite the pain and betrayal, he still loved Rachel deeply. And maybe, just maybe, this could be a turning point for them. A chance to rebuild their marriage on a foundation of honesty and passion. As they lay back down together, James felt a flicker of hope. It wouldn't be easy, but he was willing to fight for their love. James awoke the next morning with a mix of determination and unease. The conversation with Rachel had opened a door he hadn't anticipated. Their marriage was far from perfect, but he couldn't deny the spark of excitement that had entered their bedroom since Rachel's affair had begun. He couldn't stop thinking about the passionate nights they had shared recently. Nights that had reignited a fire between them. The idea of Rachel being with another man still stung, but it also intrigued him in a way he hadn't expected. Rachel, for her part, seemed both relieved and anxious. She had expected James to be furious, to demand she end the affair immediately. Instead, he had expressed a willingness to work through it, to understand. This unexpected reaction left her feeling more connected to him than she had in years. The weight of her secret was now out in the open, and although the future was uncertain, there was a strange sense of liberation. In the days that followed, James found himself increasingly captivated by the changes in their relationship. He noticed the way Rachel looked at him, the way she touched him. There was a new intensity, or rawness that hadn't been there before. It was as if the boundaries of their marriage had expanded, allowing them to explore new depths of intimacy. James began to wonder if, perhaps, there was a way to embrace this new dynamic without losing the love they had built together. One evening, as they lay in bed after another passionate encounter, James couldn't hold back his thoughts any longer. "Rachel," he began hesitantly, "and thinking a lot about us, about what's happened." Rachel turned to him, her eyes searching his face. "What do you mean, James?" James took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "I can't deny that things have changed between us, and in some ways, for the better. Our intimacy has never been like this before, and while it hurts to know you're with someone else, I can't help but feel excited by it too." Rachel's eyes widened in surprise. "You're excited by it?" James nodded, feeling a rush of vulnerability. "Yes, I know it sounds strange, but the idea of you being desired by another man, if you experiencing pleasure with him, it's intoxicating, and it seems to have awakened something in you as well. Something that we've both been missing." He looked at him for a long moment before speaking. "James, I never wanted to hurt you. I was just trying to find something I felt I'd lost. But if this is something we can explore together, if it can bring us closer, then maybe we can find a way to make it work." The conversation marked the beginning of a new phase in their relationship. They agreed to be open with each other, to share their feelings and desires without judgment. It wasn't easy, and there were moments of jealousy and insecurity, but they were committed to navigating this uncharted territory together. James found himself increasingly fascinated by Rachel's relationship with Matt. He would lie in bed at night, imagining the two of them together, the way Matt would touch her, the sounds she would make. These thoughts, rather than filling him with anger, filled him with a strange, erotic thrill. He began to ask Rachel about her encounters, encouraging her to share the details. At first, Rachel was hesitant, unsure of how James would react, but as she saw his genuine interest, she opened up, describing her experiences in vivid detail. One night, as they lay entwined in each other's arms, Rachel began to speak softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Matt is different from you, James. He's more assertive. He takes what he wants without hesitation. It's thrilling, but it's also made me appreciate you even more. You're gentle and loving, and I need that balance." James listened intently, his mind racing with images of Rachel and Matt. He could feel himself growing aroused by her words, the vivid pictures they painted. "Tell me more," he urged, his voice husky with desire. Rachel hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Matt knows how to push my boundaries, how to make me feel things I've never felt before. But it's you I think about when I'm with him. It's you I come home to, you who holds my heart." Her words sent a shiver down James's spine. The idea that she thought of him even while with another man was strangely comforting, and it intensified his desire. He pulled her closer, kissing her deeply, his hands roaming over her body with newfound urgency. Their lovemaking that night was fierce and passionate, fueled by the shared fantasies and the emotional connection they were rebuilding. As the weeks went by, James found himself more and more captivated by their new dynamic. He began to fantasize about joining Rachel and Matt, imagining the three of them together. The thought both excited and terrified him. He wasn't sure if he was ready to take that step, but the idea lingered in his mind, growing stronger with each passing day. Rachel noticed the change in James, the way his eyes would darken with desire whenever they talked about Matt. She began to wonder if there was a way to bring James's fantasies to life without jeopardizing their fragile new balance. One evening, as they lay in bed, she broached the subject cautiously. "James," she began, "in thinking about what you said about your fantasies, would you ever consider meeting Matt? Not necessarily to do anything, but just to see if it's something we could explore together?" James's heart pounded in his chest. The idea was both exhilarating and terrifying, but the thought of Rachel and Matt together had already become a part of his sexual psyche. He nodded slowly, his voice steady. "I think I'd like that, Rachel. I want to see if this is something we can embrace together." The decision to meet Matt was a turning point for James and Rachel. They arranged a casual meeting, choosing a neutral location where they could talk openly. James was nervous, unsure of what to expect. When Matt arrived, James was struck by how ordinary he seemed. He was handsome, confident, but there was nothing about him that screamed affair. It made James wonder what Rachel had seen in him, but he quickly realized it wasn't about Matt. It was about what he represented: freedom, excitement, a break from the routine. They talked for hours, sharing their thoughts and feelings openly. Matt was respectful, understanding the delicate situation. He admitted that he had developed feelings for Rachel, but was willing to step back if it meant saving their marriage. James appreciated his honesty and found himself warming to the idea of including Matt in their lives. In the weeks that followed, James and Rachel continued to explore their new dynamic. They set boundaries, communicating openly about their desires and insecurities. James began to feel a sense of liberation, embracing the idea that love and pleasure could coexist in unconventional ways. He found that he could still love Rachel deeply while being aroused by her relationship with Matt. Their lovemaking became even more passionate, fueled by the shared fantasies and the emotional connection they were rebuilding. James felt a renewed sense of intimacy with Rachel, a deeper understanding of her needs and desires. He began to see their relationship as a living, evolving entity, capable of adapting to their changing needs. One night, as they lay in bed, Rachel turned to James with the question that had been on her mind. "James, do you ever think about being with someone else?" The question caught James off guard, but he answered honestly, "Sometimes. I think it's natural to have those thoughts, but right now I'm more interested in exploring what we have together, and with Matt." Rachel nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "I feel the same way. I don't want to lose what we have, but I also don't want to ignore the parts of ourselves that crave something different." James kissed her softly, his heart swelling with love. "Then let's keep exploring together. Let's find out what makes us happy and keep building on that." As they fell asleep in each other's arms, James felt a sense of peace he hadn't felt in months. He knew their journey was far from over, but he was confident they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. With open hearts and minds, they would navigate this new chapter of their lives, embracing the complexities of love and desire. The decision to meet Matt had been a significant turning point for James and Rachel. It marked the beginning of a new chapter in their marriage, one defined by openness, honesty, and a willingness to explore uncharted territory. James had expected the meeting to be awkward, but it had been surprisingly comfortable. Matt had shown genuine respect and understanding, and James found himself appreciating the man who had become a part of their lives. In the weeks that followed, James and Rachel continued to communicate openly about their feelings and desires. They established clear boundaries, ensuring that their primary focus remained on their relationship. Rachel continued to see Matt, but their encounters were no longer shrouded in secrecy. Instead, they became a source of shared excitement and intimacy for James and Rachel. James found himself increasingly aroused by the idea of Rachel with Matt. He would lie in bed at night, his mind filled with vivid fantasies of their encounters. He imagined Rachel's body entwined with Matt's, the sounds of their passion, the look of ecstasy on her face. These thoughts, rather than causing pain, fueled his desire for Rachel. He felt a renewed sense of connection with her, a deeper understanding of her needs and desires. Rachel, for her part, was also experiencing a newfound sense of liberation. She felt closer to James than she had in years, their shared secrets and fantasies creating an intimacy that transcended physical boundaries. She appreciated James's willingness to explore this new dynamic, to embrace the complexities of their relationship. It made her love him even more deeply. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, sipping wine and enjoying the quiet of the night, James turned to Rachel with a thoughtful expression. "Do you ever think about what our friends and family would say if they knew?" he asked. Rachel smiled, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "Probably that we're crazy," she replied, "but I don't care. This is our life, our marriage. No one else has to understand it as long as we do." James nodded, appreciating her perspective. "I agree. It's not about what anyone else thinks. It's about what makes us happy and keeps us connected." Rachel reached out and took his hand, squeezing it gently. "Exactly. And I feel more connected to you now than ever before." As the weeks turned into months, James and Rachel continued to navigate their new dynamic with openness and honesty. They discovered that their relationship was capable of evolving in ways they had never imagined. Their intimacy deepened, and they found new ways to express their love and desire for each other. James's initial feelings of betrayal and hurt gradually gave way to acceptance and excitement. He realized that love could be multifaceted, and that their unconventional arrangement had brought them closer together. James began to explore his own desires more openly. Encouraged by Rachel's support, they talked about fantasies and boundaries, ensuring that both felt comfortable and respected. One evening, as they lay in bed after an especially passionate encounter, James broached a subject that had been on his mind for some time. "Rachel," he began, his voice tentative, "have you ever thought about us being with other people together?" Rachel looked at him, her eyes wide with surprise. "You mean like a threesome?" James nodded, feeling a rush of vulnerability. "Yes, I know it's a big step, but I can't help but be intrigued by the idea. I think it could be exciting for both of us." Rachel considered his words carefully before responding. "I've thought about it too, James. The idea of us exploring that together is thrilling, but we need to make sure we're both comfortable and that we have clear boundaries." They spent the next few weeks discussing their fantasies and establishing guidelines. They agreed that their primary focus would always be on each other, and that any encounters with others would be an extension of their shared desires. With these boundaries in place, they began to explore the idea more seriously. Their first encounter with another couple was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. They met a couple named Emma and Mark, who were also exploring the boundaries of their relationship. The evening was filled with laughter, conversation, and a palpable sense of anticipation. As the night progressed, the four of them gradually became more comfortable with each other, their inhibitions melting away. James and Rachel discovered that their shared experience only strengthened their bond. The evening was filled with moments of intense passion and connection, and they felt a renewed sense of intimacy with each other. The experience brought them closer, allowing them to explore new facets of their relationship without losing sight of their deep love and commitment. Over time, James and Rachel continued to embrace their new dynamic, finding joy and excitement in their shared experiences. They navigated the challenges and insecurities with open communication and mutual respect, ensuring that their primary focus remained on their relationship. They discovered that love and desire could coexist in ways they had never imagined, and they were determined to keep building on that foundation. As James and Rachel embraced their new dynamic, they found themselves growing closer in ways they hadn't anticipated. Their communication improved, and they felt more connected emotionally and physically. Arrangement had brought a new level of excitement and passion to their marriage, reigniting the spark that had been missing for so long. James no longer felt threatened by Rachel's relationship with Matt. Instead, he saw it as an opportunity for growth and exploration. He appreciated the way it had brought out new facets of Rachel's personality and desires, and he found himself more attracted to her than ever before. He realized that their love was strong enough to withstand the challenges, and that their relationship was capable of evolving in ways he had never imagined. Rachel, for her part, felt a deep sense of gratitude for James's understanding and support. She appreciated his willingness to explore their new dynamic and his openness to discussing their desires and boundaries. She felt more connected to him than ever before, and their shared experiences had deepened their emotional and physical intimacy. One evening, as they lay in bed after another passionate encounter, Rachel turned to James with the thoughtful expression, "James, do you ever think about where we'll be in the future? About how our relationship will continue to evolve?" James smiled, pulling her close. "I do, Rachel, and I know that as long as we continue to communicate openly and support each other, we'll be able to navigate whatever comes our way. Our love is strong, and it's capable of adapting to our changing needs and desires." Rachel nodded, feeling a sense of peace and contentment. "I feel the same way. I love you more than ever, and I'm excited to see where our journey takes us." As they fell asleep in each other's arms, James felt a deep sense of gratitude for the love and connection they had built. He knew their journey was far from over, but he was confident that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. With open hearts and minds, they would continue to explore the complexities of love and desire, embracing the unconventional path they had chosen. James and Rachel's journey was one of growth, acceptance, and exploration. They discovered that love could take many forms, and that their relationship was capable of evolving in ways they had never imagined. Their unconventional arrangement had brought them closer together, deepening their emotional and physical intimacy and reigniting the spark that had been missing for so long. They continued to navigate their new dynamic with open communication and mutual respect, ensuring that their primary focus remained on their relationship. They found joy and excitement in their shared experiences, discovering new facets of their personalities and desires. Their love was strong enough to withstand the challenges, and they were determined to keep building on that foundation. As they looked to the future, James and Rachel knew that their journey was far from over. They were committed to exploring the complexities of love and desire, embracing the unconventional path they had chosen. They were confident that their love was strong enough to navigate whatever came their way, and they were excited to see where their journey would take them. With open hearts and minds, James and Rachel faced the future together, ready to embrace the challenges and joys of their evolving relationship. They knew that their love was capable of adapting to their changing needs and desires, and they were determined to continue building a relationship that was defined by openness, honesty, and a deep sense of connection. James and Rachel's journey was a testament to the power of love and the importance of open communication. They had faced the challenges of infidelity and emerged stronger, their relationship transformed by their willingness to explore new dynamics and embrace the complexities of love and desire. Their unconventional arrangement had brought a new level of excitement and passion to their marriage, reigniting the spark that had been missing for so long. They had discovered that love could take many forms, and that their relationship was capable of evolving in ways they had never imagined. As they continued to navigate their new dynamic, James and Rachel found joy and fulfillment in their shared experiences. They knew that their journey was far from over, but they were confident that their love was strong enough to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With open hearts and minds, they embraced the future, ready to continue building a relationship defined by openness, honesty, and a deep sense of connection. In the end, James and Rachel's story was one of growth, acceptance, and the power of love to transcend conventional boundaries. They had discovered that true intimacy came from embracing each other's desires and exploring the depths of their relationship together. Their journey was a testament to the strength of their love and their commitment to building a future defined by passion, connection, and a deep sense of mutual respect.